How is the Hearthstone community like in Greece? Is it big, or are there a lot of passionate players?
Yeah, they're all passionate. Like, we're screaming to each other, like in a LAN tournament, and someone is top decking, there's going to be a fight. There's going to be a fight, man.
What would it mean for the entire Greek Hearthstone community if a Greek player like yourself won the Europe Championship?
Like, I can show you in my phone how many messages I have. Like, everyone is telling me you need to win this. They're already organizing, like, I don't know, some group ups in net cafes or in their home to watch the game.
Does that motivate you, or does that make you feel a lot of pressure?
I don't know. I want to win it, but if I don't, guys, chill.
Do you think that Greek Hearthstone is going to be a big thing in the future, especially with you qualifying for a championship?
Yeah, every month there are like at least 4 to 5 Greeks people in the top 100. So I think that's good. Yeah, we have too many good players. They just need something more.
And there we see the two things that Bawse is actually playing for right now. One, his daughter, and the other hand, the championship itself. So everything to play for Bawse.
Yeah, and as we saw in the media piece there's a third thing. He really is carrying the weight of expectations of the Greek Hearthstone scene on his back, and he is very much, a community leader in that scene. He was showing me earlier yesterday that he's actually coded an app that's basically just like a Greek Hearthstone hub that consolidates all the streams in the same place and does news and tournament results and all that kind of stuff. So he is really looked up to as a figure in the Greek scene. So there's definitely a third factor at play here. He has a lot of things motivating him to try and move forward to BlizzCon here, but there is a stony-faced opponent blocking his path right now in DrHippi, who has his own motivations in making his way to BlizzCon.
Yeah, as we go into Game 2, DrHippi is 1-0 up versus Bawse, and it is going to be DrHippi's Druid versus Bawse's Hunter. So I actually think this matchup is pretty good for the Hunter. I think you can just pressure them out so fast that Druid is now slowed down to such an extent that if Hunter curves as we can see, 1-2 at least so far for Bawse, you can just overpower them. The removal is not fast enough combined with the death rattles of the Hunter.
Yeah, the death rattles are a huge deal because, classically, everyone looked at Druid and said Druid is a class that struggles to remove minions. That's not quite the case anymore because they're playing very, very spell heavy, removal heavy decks these days, but still they don't interact well with sticky death rattle minions, of which there aren't too many removing in the game since Naxxramas rotated out, but the one class that does still have access to them, Kindly Grandmother, Infested Wolf, Savannah Highmane, it's almost become the identity of the Hunter class to be the Death Rattle class.
And also that, combined with the other removal weakness for Druid, is wide boards. They can probably deal with one minion, even, you can probably deal with a Cairn, reasonably okay, but when a board goes that wide of Death Rattles, it just becomes way too much to deal with. But see, DrHippi is running the Ancient of Wars in this list and the Mulch, but he's got to get there. I think that's the key issue here. He's got to get to the late game and not just be dead to hero powers or any burns such as Kill Command, because I feel like when you play against Druid, you can be aggressive, and then even if the big taunts come up and you don't have cards like Deadly Shot or anything to actually just remove them, you can actually just keep hitting hero power and try not to die, and that actually works quite often versus Druid.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's one Deadly Shot in the Hunter list, so that's a potential answer to a huge wall. And DrHippi right now just staring at Innovate, no persistent ramp up until that Maya Keeper, but he may just be considering how early he wants to get that Maya Keeper out right now, but I was going to say, I think first and foremost, just address this fiery bat, because you don't want the state of the board to spiral out of control with beasts. You kind of want to answer them on a one-for-one basis as long as you can, up until turn 4, just to make sure that big Houndmaster blowout doesn't come down as long as you can. So if there isn't a big pressure turn coming out here from Bawse, then DrHippi will probably just go ahead and innovate his Maya Keeper on turn 2, having now dealt with the problem of that initial fiery bat, and that's a pretty nice curve into the second Maya Keeper now.
Yeah, I was just about to say, actually, like, getting the Maya Keeper out turn 1 wouldn't achieve anything, especially against a fiery bat, right? The ramp doesn't ramp you into anything that DrHippi had available. But now, as you said, it's going to curve out really well for him, so he's going to be able to boost his mana up enough to try and get ahead of the Hunter. But Bawse does have a pretty decent follow-up as well. He could just drop the Squire in the following turn, and Tracking is a card we were discussing earlier today in this list. It's just so powerful in the fact you pretty much choose a win condition towards the late game.
Yeah, it's just Tracking has become an auto-include in basically every Hunter deck I play since Call of the Wild was released, because Call of the Wild is just such an insanely high power level card that you just want to draw it every game. You know, other cards be damned, I just want Call of the Wild on turn 8. That has to happen. So Tracking increases your consistency of being able to do that so much that it becomes such a big deal to have that card in your deck.
Ooh. Barnes seems good in time for turn 4.
The Abusive seems really good right now, though. It is a huge tempo turn if he just takes Abusive Sergeant right now, and his turn 4 can just be Houndmaster anyway if he dominates the board now. I think I like the Abusive a little bit more that turn.
It's a really tough decision, to be honest, because I would always lean towards Barnes. I feel like the card in this deck is that powerful, because there's so many death rattles, and let's be honest, if you Barnes out a high main, you probably just, won the game off the back of that to a large extent. And also there are just way more minions as well to get off Barnes that feel pretty good. But as you said, the option was pretty likely, as it would have forced removal on the second half of the Grandmother, or Houndmaster comes down, as he said. So, merit to the both. I always lean towards Barnes, but it wouldn't have been particularly an issue if he didn't go for it.
And she chooses here to trade into the 3-3 preemptively, which does give up a lot more power on his board. It also makes it significantly easier for DrHippi to sweep his board of beasts on this turn and deny the Houndmaster, but I guess if your line was to pick up Barnes as an alternate 4-mana play, you're not too concerned about your Houndmaster just yet, but still a little unusual with that turn. I personally would have liked the Abusive line a little bit more, and then not quite sure what his thinking was after that with the preemptive trade, but DrHippi now has a decision to make himself about whether he wants to try and deny turn 4 Houndmaster at pretty significant cost to himself, to his own development, or whether he just goes ahead and continues ramping up with the Maya Keepers.
Yeah, I think the idea here was that if there was hero power into Wrath, he can clear whilst leaving the Maya Keeper up if he doesn't trade.
Sure.
So now he can't do that, right? So, it's still it's a
really
bit wonky.
specific
it's a stretch,
scenario to be playing.
It is a stretch, but as you said, he did choose Barnes from Tracking, which means he wasn't all in on having to play Houndmaster. Sure. Although now I like Houndmaster, of course. You get the value from that card whenever you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bawse looks like his thinking in this matchup is that he's very much prepared to go to the late game here, because again, it looks like he's gonna not risk being punished here, but pick up the trade preemptively. Definitely seems what it looks like he's considering here. Of course, if he was to go face, he can get punished by things like Swipe, Feral Rage, even Wrath plus Hero Power is a lot more effective. Although the trade exposes him to Swipe just as much, honestly.
I was just gonna say, I think even looking at his hand, I would be more aggressive at this point, because his hand is, Animal Companion, Barnes, Squire, all really great cards, but if he just whiffs the next turn, then suddenly it's just not looking as great to take it to the late game if the Druid stabilizes. But the trade is always going to happen, right? So I would just rather go face here. get that 4 damage.
Well, I mean, is the trade always going to happen? That's the question. Because if he was scared of Wrath last turn, if that's the world that you're saying we're living in, then he has to equally be scared of Wrath this turn, right? Because Wrath plus hero power then clears out his entire board.
Yeah, I guess so. Because he didn't see Wrath last turn, but it wasn't a great turn
Right.
2 Wrath
Although I
because of
guess
the trade.
if he trades, then you just Wrath the 4/3 and hero power the 4/1 anyway, so it's much the same thing. So actually, I think there is very little punish to go face in that situation. So I think Bawse ended up with the right decision in that turn.
Wow, and we can see DrHippi now has actually 2 Ancient of Wars in hand,
Yeah.
and only 1 turn away from being able to play the first one. So this is looking actually, pretty rough. I think if I was like a boss, I'd like to have done a bit more damage by now to be able to pressure him there. But DrHippi's done a pretty good job of negating that, getting that early Maya Keeper out. I think was really strong.
So I have a question. How many good mulch targets are there actually in a hunter deck?
Not many.
There's no many,
You're
right?
right.
You're right.
I'm trying to think. I'm like,
you're not mulching a high main and feeling great about it. You're not mulching like infested wolves. Call of the Wild mulch is going to be too slow. So yeah, I love seeing the mulch come out here. And what this means is that he's now using his 3/3. He has his 3/3 consolidated on the board. So this 3/3 can now defend his Ancient of War turn and give that Ancient of War maximum chance of sticking to the board. So yeah, I really like this play from DrHippi.
now we see what Barnes is going to bring onto the board, and infested wolf, reasonable.
Definitely not bad, and the 3/3 is going to end up not having a big impact here, but back-to-back Ancient of Wars is going to make a huge dent in Bawse's pressure here. He's going to have to fight through this pretty much the hard way unless he has some significant help from Animal Companion on the next turn.
Yeah, and also just to rewind a little bit, the mulch did give Eternal Sentinel, which as a hunter is not what you're looking for. You want anything of high value because you lack card draw, so you want every single card you're going to get into your hand to have some form of greater impact than a 3/2 for 2 mana. So it was pretty unfortunate with the mulch, I'd say there.
Strictly worse than Bloodfen Raptor.
Yes, yeah. Unless is there any way? No, there's no way. There's no way for Hunter to overload, right?
I'm sure in a game where Yogg-Saron exists, we could
There's
invent
a way.
a way. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the Argent Horse Rider in hand as well is going to help do some damage, but at the moment there just needs to be a kill command. Call the Wild, great card, but not enough. So we banking on Huffer.
So yeah, Leok would add 3 and allow him to only push his 8, but now the Horse Rider, it's actually probably a better outcome than Huffer. Because he gets to keep the large body of the Animal Companion itself in play, whereas if it was Huffer, the Huffer would be trading in itself. So yeah, I think Leok is actually the best option here.
Yeah, and now Bawse hopes against hope that there's no swipe, as that would lock out this board pretty rough. But fortunate for him, DrHippi has just drawn into Fandral, and not a lot to really combo with Fandral this turn. And by not a lot, I mean actually nothing, because he can't play Ancient of War as well. So it also feels kind of bad to just Ancient of War on a board this big, even though it looks quite unthreatening.
So
it kind of does a lot of damage, out of nowhere.
I don't mind just dropping Fandral here. Fandral and being able to hero power as well this turn, almost contest the board just as well as the 5/10 does, and then you have the potential for the 10/10 Ancient of War next turn if in Miracle World Fandral sticks, and then plus you get another hero power alongside the 7-drop next turn as well. So you're weaving in just those 2 extra little increments of value over the 2 turns.
Yeah, I completely agree actually, because Fandral will be if you kill the Leok, then the Hunter's 1 damage off killing it just based off minions, and Hunter Unleash, which you only runs 1 of in the list, to actually cleanly kill it, or if not that, then burn, and you're following up with Ancient of War, right? So any burn used on Fandral is kind of a bit of a win for you in general.
Yep, quick shot, very important draw for like a Bawse to be able to clear through this. And again, the Leok perseveres here. He's able to stick the Animal Companion on the board. And there is the first emote from Like a Bawse. I think you will hear a little bit more about Like a Bawse's stance on emote usage in Hearthstone as we progress through this series. But he is definitely a subscriber to the tactical side of emotes, as you said, which is something that